So free speech is shrinking, as it usually is by the looks of it, because people are not willing enough to fight back at it in positions of power. So the first thing here is actually just a funny little thing I found. So this is a Vox article referring to the Facebook situation. So the First Amendment has a Facebook problem, they title it here. And you remember this is because Donald Trump was banned from Facebook for inciting violence, which he was then shown to be not guilty of, which is why he wasn't impeached and has not been charged, and therefore didn't do nothing. So in response, Facebook just said, okay, we're not sure. We're going to set up an oversight board who will look at this. And the oversight board looked at it and they upheld the ban.
I was quite surprised about that because they've overturned quite a lot of things in the past. So I actually looked at some of it, and there was all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff where I thought, okay, I can kind of see why Facebook has banned this, but they're like, nope, it needs to stay. And then they keep the ban on Donald Trump. It didn't really add up to me, but
because it's political.
I think so.
Like, we looked at the list of people on the board, it was all like the checkmark types. I mean, one of them was an ex-prime minister from Denmark, from the Social Democrats. Like, how do you think she's going to vote on this? Like, what does it matter about the facts of the case? It doesn't matter. So they decided they would keep the ban, because of course they would. But they did say something in response, which is that the oversight board said to Facebook, we're not the ones to set up a standard for a permanent ban. So that's up to you to come up with the standards. And you'll make standards for a permanent ban. And if Donald Trump doesn't reach them, then he's not permanently banned, in which case you have to give him 6 months or whatever the heck you want. And that's your problem. In which Facebook were like, why the hell did we set you up? Like, we set you up to answer these questions. Why have you just sent it back to us as if we're meant to solve it? So, I mean, I've got some sympathy for that. It's like, I literally pay you to sit around and discuss that, not us. So, in this Vox article, you get the cookie-cutter, stock, standard leftist response, because leftists apparently only care about private property when it's about censorshiping their enemies. So Facebook and Twitter are private companies, free to do whatever they want with their platforms. Yeah, of course they are leftists. That's exactly how leftists view the world. Private companies, free to do whatever they want. Yeah, shut up. So disingenuous. But he does note here, which is that they're starting to realize, I think, that actually, what happens now that all the right are gone? Who are they going to censor now that all the right-wingers are banned?
It's going to be the moderate left, right?
It's going to be the left, because there's no one left. So he says in here, if a public square is controlled by a few private companies, and they have the power to collectively ban citizens whenever they want, then doesn't that give the ability to effectively deny them their constitutionally protected liberties? Yes! We've been saying this the whole time. This is the problem. They finally got to it. They finally, realized that the light switch went on, that, yeah, maybe if we ban people from all popular methods of communication, then they effectively don't have any free speech, because if they can talk to themselves, they're free, aren't they? No, of course not. I mean, if you can think something, you're a free man, you just can't say it. I mean, by that standard, North Korea is a free country, folks. Anyway, so, and all of this takes place, and at the same time, okay, this is a leftist outlet, but the party of the left, the United States, the Democrats, will cheer. They will cheer as you censor people. So they go to the next one here. I can't believe they put this out on their Twitter account. I can't get over it. Democrats. Verified checkmark. At the Democrats. Retweet if you agree. Facebook should permanently ban Donald Trump. Full stop. That's all they put out.
Just that. No.
Ban our opposition. That's it. That's the Democrats' opinion.
That's a bit questionable. Like,
it's not questionable. It's disgusting. I mean, literally, this guy says a thing we don't like. Ban him. I mean, that's their opinion. Literally, ban our political opposition because they've said things we don't like. I mean, they can't get him on incitement because no one has. He got acquitted on that in the political side, and you might say, oh, that's politics, whatever. He wasn't charged with it by any criminal court or anything because he didn't do it. You can endlessly argue about this. You can watch the footage yourself. It literally says, peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. People went down there and weren't peaceful. Not his fault. Just not his fault. Doesn't matter what you say. He didn't tell them to do it.
100% agree.
Yeah, in which case, the Democrats' response, yeah, it doesn't matter. Still ban him. Ban him from speaking. I mean, that's them. That's their position on this whole thing. In which case, if they do it to him, why wouldn't they do it to you? What's going to stop them?
If they can do it to the former president of the United States, they're not going to. There's not going to be this kind of fuss if it's just a regular person.
Yeah, if you're a school teacher or something, or if you're a firefighter and you say something they don't like, what's going to stop them from banning you? What's going to stop them from censoring you? If they're happy to do it in the public sector, why would they not be happy to do it in the private sector? Why would they not be happy to do it in the public sector?
Not only will they try and censor you, they'll also try and ban you from being employed as well. They'll try and dox your employer, so that they'll try and destroy your life if you say something they don't like at this point.
I mean, I can't get over how much this didn't explode. Like, Republicans, are there any Republicans watching? If anyone has an ear of some Republican lawmakers or chairman or anything in the party, make them aware of this. Share this to no end, because people need to see that's the Democrats' opinion. If you say something we don't like, we will have you banned. I mean, the smart political thing for them to do here was to say nothing. Like, he's been banned from Facebook. Okay, we'll shut up and pretend that, oh, no, we stand for freedom and all the blah, 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 and all the lies that they tell people. Mask off, no. Ban anyone who disagrees with us. That's the party's opinion. They haven't taken us down. This is still up. You can go find it. Put it in front of every Republican's face you know. I don't know why this should just be the campaign for Trump's next election or whatever, or the midterms or whatever. Just show this tweet. There we go. That's their opinion on the First Amendment.
I just really wasn't that surprised. Like, they just said the quiet part out loud. I knew that they believed that he should be banned and stay banned because it works out for them, but I didn't actually expect them to come out and say it explicitly and openly.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, it's essentially the same as if they just put, yes, we want to grab your guns. Like, you have no right to bear arms. It's unbelievable. Anyway, sorry, it really annoyed me because I'm also at the same time. It did get massively, ratioed. It got ratioed by the let's say like shoe on head types. But I mean, what's the argument? Let's hear it. Anyway, but let's move on. So it could be worse. Could be worse. You could be living in Britain. So we go to Britain for a second. There's some problems going on here. So the first thing I wanted to show was there's a retired judge who said that transgender groups have too much say on hate crime laws and consultation on expanding the risks, and it risks them being unbalanced. It's like, really? That's a really tepid way of putting it. Unbalanced. I mean, it's a really kind way of saying predatory. I mean, hate crime laws in and of themselves are abhorrent. Never mind the fact that, the trans groups have got too much influence there. Whatever. Anyway, so the Law Commission is pushing to make misogyny, age, and sex workers also a protected group. I mean, not some kind of group that is got the same rights as everyone else. Privilege. They want a privileged position in which if you insult them, you've broken the law. So he singled out LGBT campaigns like Stonewall, saying the commission was treating them more like a consultant than a consultee. The commission has already backed down on one proposal for offensive family dinner table comments to be classified as hate crimes. Oh, thank Christ. Thank Christ. We can say things within our own homes.
What a small mercy.
Yeah, but you remember they were trying to propose this in Scotland. I don't know if it passed in Scotland.
I think it did.
It did. So in Scotland, if you say things at a dinner table, that's not protected anymore. You can be sent to jail for that. In England, they at least back down on that. We have that privilege. Oh, freedom, the land I live in. So this isn't the only thing, of course. There's an article here in which you're looking at these campaigners, as you say, who turn up. No one should take them seriously. I mean, the next link here should also. This is an article called "Nobody Wins the Gender Wars," and the author points out the exact kind of nonsense we're dealing with. I mean, the SJW nonsense from these extremist groups who come and lobby the government all the time. I mean, they're the kind of people who are happy to get women sexually assaulted in prison. You might think it sounds weird. No. Karen White, the sex offender, identified as a woman, was already a sex offender, and went, I'm a woman, you have to send me to a women's prison. The state agreed, sent her to a women's prison. What did she do? Well, she sexually assaulted the inmates. What were you expecting to happen? I mean, that's the end point of these people's ideology. I mean, they should be ostracized in the same way that, like, the paedophile information exchanges. I mean, completely out of politics whatsoever. They shouldn't be in there lobbying the government on how to, change laws. And the last thing I wanted to mention was just the horrible situation in Britain with the pastors. So in Britain, if you want to be a Christian, you want to go out and preach your faith, too bad. Shut up. Because how dare you try and claim such liberties? So this is the first one here. The arrest of another Christian street pastor could prove costly for the Met. And they list in here that the pastor decided to go out and preach that marriage was between a man and a woman.
Wow.
That's Islamophobic. That's a hate crime. I'm not joking. So we go to the next link.
Islamophobic? What?
It's homophobic.
Oh, right.
So this is the Reclaim Party, so Lawrence Fox's party retweeting it. You can see the link is missing for some reason. Are they calling it awful? If we go to the next one, you can see him here. So the guy goes out. He starts preaching that marriage is between a man and a woman because he's a Christian. What are you expecting? And the police turn up and decide to say that he's committed a hate crime by doing that, and then they go on to arrest him and drag him down and then drag him to the station for breaking the law. I mean, this is where this leads you. I mean, if you accept these kind of people in government as pressure groups who are going to advise the government on things they don't know much about, no. I mean, you do not invite communists in to advise you how to run the state if you're a liberal. And for doing this, I think he's now back out preaching, but I don't know what the state of him is. So we go to the next link. This is Newsweek. So UK pastor arrested after anti-same-sex marriage comments. So this is that same pastor who was arrested for anti-same-sex. So he said that marriage between a man and a woman, that's fine. I don't agree. I don't give a toss. I'm not someone who's getting married anytime soon. I don't care about Christianity, I'm an atheist, but so what? Like, this guy should not be arrested for sharing his opinion.
I very much agree.
Yeah. So they say in here that he presented the Christian worldview that marriage is between a man and a woman, and for this, he was accused of a hate crime, arrested, and imprisoned overnight. This abhorrent removal of free speech should never have happened in London. I much agree. That's a quote from, was it Curtin there? David Curtin, who ran for the Heritage Party.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. So he's said to have returned to the same place. He was arrested under Section 5 of the Public Order Act because he caused alarm and distress. Now, this is a law that's broad, can get abused all the time, and you can say, oh, it's Section 5's fault. No, it's not Section 5's fault, actually. I mean, for all the problems Section 5 has and all the abuse it has, it's the cultural problem. The fact that the police thought they could get away with that and say that, no, you're committing a hate crime. I mean, all of that, okay, you get rid of all of the hate crime stuff, you get rid of all of the culture of wokeness, and all of a sudden, he doesn't get arrested for Section 5. It's the cultural upbringing that then uses that law as a weapon.
I'd also like to see them do this to an imam. Just wait and see the backlash.
They'll do it to the opposite. They'll do it to a man who's criticizing Islam. So we can get the next one up. So this is police payout after Christian street preacher arrest. So we're going to do a bit of a white pill here, but it's still a horrible story. So if you can scroll down, I don't know if we can see the chap on here. Pastor, God knows how you say his last name. Sorry, mate. But he was out street preaching. And he was arrested for Islamophobic comments. Comments.
And that was because he was preaching Christianity, I take it?
We don't know. Weird, right? Like, we have no idea what he said. We just know that he was arrested for making Islamophobic comments.
And that's all they've released about what he actually said.
Yeah, there's an interview in here in which they actually ask him himself. And he says that there was a hooded man who had come up to him who identified as a Muslim and was saying Allah is the best. In which case... so what? Like, Christian doesn't think Allah is real. Oh well. Like that, shut him down, boys. So there's a quote from another person, a bystander. So the bystander saw the hooded man and this Christian preacher chatting about religion, and he got worried that the Muslim man was about to assault the Christian preacher. So he called the cops to protect the Christian preacher because he's out preaching. Who gives a toss? That's not a crime. If this Muslim man wants to assault him, then that would be the crime. So the police turn up and do the appropriate thing of not keeping them separate, but instead arresting the Christian preacher because of his Islamophobic comments.
That's appalling.
Yeah. So if we can go to the next link, just so people might remember this. You might remember this video.
Yeah, I do now.
Him saying, please don't take my Bible away. So they do, and then I can't get over this. So he says, the Christian preacher, please don't take my Bible away. The police officer responds with, you should have thought of that before being racist.
Right.
He said,
racist as well.
God is the way, Jesus is the way, so on and so forth. That's racism. Get arrested. And then presumably they charged him with Section 5 and whatnot. But thankfully he has been able to countersue them for false imprisonment, and he's got £2,500 out of them for this arrest.
That's a small recompense, but at least it's something. I think the acknowledgement of them doing it wrongfully is a big part of that.
Yeah, I know this is like a year old, but it's the update there, and it's good to see. It's a bit of a white pill to end on, but I mean, that's the state of Britain. I mean, if the US wants to keep going down that route, I mean, with the Democrats openly say, censor anyone who disagrees with us, this is where you end up. This is where you end up. Christian preachers being arrested in the street for being racist because they've said Islamophobic things or homophobic things. Why? Because they've quoted the Bible. Like, I don't agree with the Bible. I'm an atheist. Throw it in the trash as far as I'm aware.
Well, don't do that. That's a bit far.
Not interested in Christianity at all in being true, but I don't care. It's your right. You want to believe in Christianity, you want to say that the Bible is the truth, the way, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you should be able to do that. And in Britain, you can't.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.